Back to politics now, as President Obama is reportedly urging Democrats to rally behind Hillary Clinton. He spoke privately to a group of donors, and the president said the Sanders campaign, he believes, has nearly run its course effectively. A look at the numbers tells the story. Clinton is more than halfway to collecting the number of delegates needed to clinch the nomination, 1614 to 856. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest says the president does not endorse any one candidate, but that he's just calling for party unity.
As Democrats move through this competitive primary process, we need to be mindful of the fact that our success in November in electing a Democratic president will depend on the commitment and ability of the Democratic Party to come together behind our nominee.
Sounds like the conversation that's being had on both sides of the fence these days. Jessica Ehrlich is an attorney and former Democratic congressional candidate. Pete Snyder is former candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia and a Fox News contributor. Welcome to both of you. Good to have you here today.
Thanks, Martha.
So the president has been very careful in his language in talking about this race, as you would expect him to be so far, but he seemed to sort of put his hand a little bit on the side of the scale with these comments. Jessica, what signal is he sending? And why?
Well, I think it's really just a sort of realistic signal of the numbers sort of speak for themselves, as you said. Right now, Hillary has a very large delegate lead. It is almost a certainty that she'll be able to clinch the number of delegates that she needs by the convention in Philadelphia. So at this point, it's really a matter of everyone sort of, coming together. I think it's wonderful that Bernie's still running. It's a good thing. It keeps the dialogue going, particularly on the Democrat side. And we've seen just a tremendous number of both Republicans and Democrats who've really gotten engaged more so than 2008 in this election, and we want to keep that momentum going.
It's interesting, Pete. One of the quotes that came out of this meeting that he had, Mr. Obama indicated that he knew that some people were, quote, not excited by Clinton's candidacy, a White House official confirming that.
Well, Martha, I mean, I don't think there's a morning that Barack Obama doesn't wake up and regret the fact that he didn't better position Biden and he made basically a deal with the devil with the Clintons. I mean, this is against everything hope and change and believe that he ran for in 2008. I was just astounded reading these articles that Barack Obama is telling donors that, hey, don't worry about Hillary's truthfulness. Authenticity is overrated. This is no wonder people are cynical in politics. And I think there's a real reason why there's a huge enthusiasm gap. Republicans can't keep voters away from the polls, and no one is really excited about going out there for Hillary because they don't believe her. They don't trust her.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that he's going to come out in a much more full-throated way, Jessica. But if you're in the Clinton campaign and you're reading what came out of this meeting, I think you're thinking, oh, gee, thanks. I mean, it's so half-hearted in terms of the support. Everybody has talked forever about the animosity that exists between the Obama camp and the Clinton camp, and this did nothing to put that to rest.
I didn't see that at all. I mean, for me, it was more just addressing something that, we've talked about many times over that we see in the polling is that sort of, exit polls that come out and say that there is an issue that Hillary has with people, believing whether she's honest or not. And frankly, Donald Trump has the same thing. So I don't know that it's authenticity so much as it is in terms of that. But he then went on to make the point of saying that's an issue. However, George W. Bush was authentic, but I beat him, in terms of policy. So, that's how you make that argument.
Jessica, this is his Secretary of State. This is a person who worked in his administration. This is somebody who, out on the campaign trail is speaking highly of President Obama. Pete, do you read into this that, that he's not all that enthusiastic?
Of course he's not. This is against every fiber of Barack Obama's being. I mean, this is exactly what he ran against in 2008. And somehow or another, to get reelected, he made a political deal with the devil, and he regrets it every single day. I mean, this is like eating broccoli for breakfast every single morning, that he has to see that he's handing over his legacy to the Clintons, who will do and say anything and everything.
There are indications that they're getting concerned. They're going to send Joe Biden out to the Rust Belt to try to tap into the Donald Trump strength there. You've got Soros raising money to try to turn out the African-American vote, which they apparently are now concerned about as well in terms of turnout, Jessica.
The interesting thing is that the way that you sort of turned this, the whole conversation was to get Democrats together, and the president was supporting Hillary without making a full-throated endorsement because we're still in a primary process and it would be inappropriate for him to pick one candidate over the other. However, it's wonderful to see Vice President Biden, all of these people, whether it's George Soros or whoever, who are Democrats, coming together to say, we are going to have a huge presidential election coming up that is really, as you know, going to change and tip the fates of where our country is headed in the next 4 to 8 years. And it's vital that everyone come together, whether they're Democrats. I mean, Republicans, I think, are just jealous because they're looking at splintering. I mean, as opposed to Democrats coming together and saying that we're all going to get behind our candidate.
The greatest thing to watch in the coming weeks.
You're talking about a brokered convention. You're talking about a third party. I mean, it's just
Martha, the greatest
chaos,
thing to watch for reporters and for anyone in the electorate is to watch Joe Biden out there on the stump for Hillary Clinton. You want to talk about contortions that he's going to have to do? And this is a guy who doesn't hide his emotions.
Like the contortions that Republicans are going through deciding whether they're going to support Donald Trump or not.
We've got months more to talk about it, and perhaps we will see a much higher enthusiasm level when it's ironed out in terms of the nominee on the Democratic side, and Jessica will be proved right. We'll see. Pete, thank you very much.
Thanks, Martha.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.